Well, we've all been talking about Amber Alerts recently, the terrible reasons why they're issued, and the complaints that pour in after they set off your phones in the middle of the night. Well, for a look at what happens behind the scenes of those Amber Alerts, we are now joined by OPP staff Sergeant Stacey Whaley, who's also a member of the team that manages Ontario's Amber Alert system. Good to have you with us this morning.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Okay, so let's dive in here. Can you take us through what the procedure or the protocol is from the moment that the police receive a call that there could be a potential abduction and then an actual Amber Alert being issued to our phones?
Right. So in Ontario, the OPP is sort of the gatekeeper. That's a loose term. I use that loosely for Amber Alerts. So any service, any police service in Ontario can ask for an Amber Alert. It has to go through the OPP. The OPP's job is to make sure the criteria is met, and then we send that off to
which we have on the
Pelmer
screen right
X.
now. Yep.
And Pelmer X is the company that runs all of our emergency messaging for Canada. Amber Alert is part of that system. We send that off. So as long as the criteria is met, we don't hesitate. Time is of the essence in one of these situations, and we send that off.
So let's dive in now into effectiveness of the Amber Alert,
Yes.
particularly in the context of people being really annoyed when they receive these alerts. So we have had 6 Amber Alerts issued in Ontario this year alone, including one that was just issued yesterday or early yesterday. How effective is it when these go out?
Well, it's been really effective. I'll point out to, in the first one, tragically, the child was murdered, but because of the Amber Alert, the suspect, who was well away from the GTA, was apprehended by officers as a direct result of a member of the public identifying that vehicle. We've had a situation where, from Peel region, where the abduction occurred, and several hours later, they're found in a KFC in the Chatham area as a result of employees of the KFC identifying the suspect and the child. We are really good friends, good partners with a young man by the name of Zach Miller from Saskatchewan, who is a survivor of a brutal abduction that lasted days. And he is alive today, and he says this as a direct result of Amber Alert.
Wow.
So we've seen nationally and recently and not so recently, where this has been very effective. We make no apologies for trying to save the life of a child, and we never will, and we shouldn't.
So let's talk about that specific part now, because there's now a petition for the Ontario government to impose fines on people who are calling 911 to complain about the Amber Alerts that are waking them up. This petition has already received over 75,000 signatures. Clearly, a lot of people are on board to kind of say to people, hey, stop tying up 911 with your complaints about the Amber Alert system. So what is the problem when someone is calling 911 to complain about an Amber Alert going off on their phone?
Well, it compromises public safety. So the 911 emergency lines are there in case of an emergency. And when people are frustrated and they're losing their tempers and they're calling, it compromises public safety. Call takers and dispatchers aren't going to be able to help you. They're there to do a job, and that is to assess your emergency, pass it on to the right emergency response. So it's frustrating. It's not right. People need to stop doing it. We train our children at an early age to call 911 in case of an emergency, and we have educated adults just going over the top and calling 911, and it doesn't make any sense. So it really needs to stop, and we want to educate people in that sense. And I'm glad to see all the people biting back, saying stop doing this. So it's not just the police saying it. It's the vast majority of the public are also defending that as well.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for the perspective. Thank you for the work that you do and the entire teams behind this.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching. If you like this, be sure to subscribe here.
And you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.